And we expect a book from God should be free from errors, because God should be all knowledgeable, all wise, not making any errors of history, errors of prophecies.
To me, it sounds like it's made up by some.
Look.
No disrespect to you. It just
No
doesn't
problem.
sound
No problem. Reason to say that's why he cannot be what he claims to be. You cannot simply dismiss him with a mere dismissal. Look, I cannot simply say, look, you're not an athlete, and you claim to be an athlete. An athlete, a sportsman, for example, when you can demonstrate it quite easily, like, look, I've just had this marathon, I won, here's the prize, and I just dismiss it. So when the Prophet makes a claim that he's a prophet of God, and he brings you proof and evidence, are you okay with recording, by the way? Fine. It makes a claim and provides proof and evidence for his claim, then one cannot simply dismiss that claim. One has to look into it and then say, that's the reason why I dismiss it, or suspend judgment, or accept it.
What's the proof and evidence for the claim?
Okay.
I mean, the claim is that 1400 years ago, he went into a cave, and an angel spoke to him, and then after the time he remembered it and told other people, and then eventually it was written down.
Yeah, so the Qur'an has been received by the Prophet through an angel from God over a period of 23 years. It's not just one go and a whole sum, bit by bit and so on, because that's how it's easy for him, because the Qur'an says so. Had it been like one go, it would be very difficult for him. So if you look at the Qur'an provides two types of evidence. One is a negative type, in which it offers you falsification test to falsify it. If you cannot falsify it, then you are going to be in a situation in which you will be struggling to explain, how do I explain the origin of the Quran? And then it provides positive evidence that it's from the Creator, and then linking both, it will say, look, I cannot falsify it, and I cannot not accept, rather than not accept, meaning I have to accept the evidence provides, because it seems to be a sound evidence. To give you example of a falsification test, is the Quran says, if this book was from any other than God, then you would find within it many discrepancies or inconsistencies. Okay? And we expect a book from God should be free from errors, because God should be all knowledgeable, all wise, not making any errors of history, errors of prophecies, mistakes in describing the scientific reality of our world, and so on. Because that's what you expect a knowledgeable Creator God to have information within it.
Let's see some of the things it says. I mean, for instance, it might say, say Muhammad went to the cave 1400 years ago,
Yeah.
And an angel spoke to him. Right? He didn't know who the angel was at first. He had to ask his cousin or something, isn't it? A Christian cousin said that the angel was actually Angel Gabriel or Jibril. How would the Christian cousin know this when the Christian cousin wasn't even there? And Muhammad was a bit confused about who it was. So basically, on that information, which is not really verified, how
So, two very, very, very good questions. But two things that comes from here. We're going to talk about a bit of Prophet's modus operandi and understand his psychology in terms of this. If there was a case where someone is an imposter, a fake individual, pretending to be what he's not, pretending to be a prophet, we expect he's not going to come and say, I don't know. He would say, a fake prophet would say, yeah, God spoke to me directly, or the angel spoke to me directly, or something. He would be positive in assertion in making up this claim, rather than saying, I don't know who it was. A fake, the signs of an imposter is this kind of false confidence. They bring out, they're sure what they're talking about, and so on and so forth. Here is someone who doesn't even know this encounter. Who was it? He's not sure. He's afraid.
If God was actually wanting to speak to him and give him a very important message for the whole of humankind, he wouldn't come out of that case thinking, I don't know who I spoke to. I don't know what happened. Firstly, you might have had an experience.
Let's try to understand.
Didn't know what it was.
He has no prior concepts of revelation about God and how he's dealt. His community was a community of worshippers of pagan idols, or some of them inclined to worshipping a creator, not the idols. They are called the Hanifs. So we are talking about a historical milieu, a context in which there wasn't much of an import of monotheistic understanding there, which was predominant. There's lots of polytheistic mixed understanding. Some groups of Christians, some group of Christians in Nazran, some Jews in Medina, and so on. That was it. So he had no connection with them, and the community knew he had no connection with them. There's no interactive learning from both or each other, or, one from the other. Historical documented. So when God has made him into a prophet, it's a new thing for him. So there's many things that he's learning now through revelation. So when the angel says, I am an angel of God, he's now trying to get a hold of what exactly does it mean to be an angel, what is an angel, and so on and so forth. Remember, these are concepts which are alien to him.
The angel made a mistake himself, but the angel told him to read.
No, the angel didn't make a mistake.
He said no to recite.
No.
Whatever.
The word is, the angel is saying, Iqra, recite.
Iqra, yeah.
Recite, proclaim, read. What he's saying, Ma'ana biqari'. I am not the one who is able to. Because he's not able to read, because what he's asking to read is a divine script, divine revelation. How can he? So the angel then makes him ready. He hugs him.
The angel hugs him?
Yeah.
So the angel was a physical being, was he?
Yes. In our case, the angels can take physical form. He came, in our understanding, angels can take the form of a human being, like he came in the form of a human being, sat next to the Prophet, his lap on the Prophet's lap, and he taught the Prophet and his companions. So the angels, in their real form...
With respect to you, yeah? To me, it sounds like it's made up by some...
Look.
No disrespect to you.
No problem. We will, take into account...
He goes to a cave, an angel comes and hugs... He says an angel come and hug him. He goes and speaks to his cousin. He doesn't know what happened. And his cousin says it was a...
If you... Look. Let's deal with first about being a fake or an imposter. Like that part.
It wasn't necessarily a fake or imposter.
No.
Maybe he had a real experience.
Wait.
What it was.
Stephen, there's few ways of understanding this phenomenon. One is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this individual, is a conscious liar, faking, impersonating, pretending to be a prophet, or he's delusional, sincerely thinks he's a prophet.
Okay.
Do you see the options?
But he could have had an experience. Thousands of millions will hear voices around their head. So it's a normal medical condition that people have.
That means what? He sincerely thinks he's a prophet. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So he's deluded. In your estimation, he's deluded.
Yeah.
We can go through each one. If we were to analyze each one, and you will see that our excuses will fall short in saying he is like that. To give you the opposite camp, because there are some people who say he's impersonating, he's a fake individual. Look.
How did his cousin, was it Warwick?
Okay. Waraq ibn Nawfal.
How did he know
Sure.
it was Jibril that spoke to him?
Fine.
He wasn't there.
So let's deal with that
He didn't
first.
experience it.
So when he went to his wife, Khadija radiallahu anha, the Khadija radiallahu anha said, look, I know you are not a bad person. You are charitable, you're truthful, you look after the orphans, and so on. So all the things she's saying are positive. You would not be visitated by a demon or anything like that. It must be something, a good thing that's coming to you, who's coming with you with something good. I know someone who's my cousin. Let's go and ask him what his understanding is.
Yeah.
So this is, Stephen, as you realize so far, this is an understanding of a person who's not impersonating on fake. It shows like he's sincerely believing what it is.
So God...
No, I've not answered your question yet.
Him, yeah?
Stephen, I have not answered your question yet.
His wife,
Relax.
His other cousin now. So
Relax.
he's going to three people.
Khadija is his wife. Khadija is his wife.
Yeah.
He knows the angels talk to him, that the angel says, I am the angel. He doesn't disbelieve in him. He's afraid. He says, wrap me up. Cover me up with a blanket. Cover me up. So cold. Because this...
Afraid.
What's happened to him is, it's like, imagine that if I give you an electric shock, you will feel differently. The Qur'an that descended on him, the experience that he went through is totally phenomenally different from all his experience for the 40 years of his life. So now he is really shaking, he's feeling shivering. This is how our historical report narrates. He says, cover me up, cover me up. So then, as he describes to his wife says, I know someone who might know something, because there seems to be a connection about this seems to be someone who...
Maybe it's some kind of neurophysiological reaction.
No. From what what the Prophet described, she linked. Like, firstly, she acknowledged that he's a righteous person, good person. So it's not a satanic, what they believed in, like a Satan impersonating or influencing him or overtaking. What are they called? Someone comes in you, possessed. It's not like that. And she even said, okay, let me see what. Is the angel is here? She says, yeah. Okay, fine. She uncovered part of her leg, her clothes. He disappeared. If he was Satan wouldn't disappear, because Satan is the source of all evil and encouraging people to do all the evil things, sexuality and pornography, whatever.
An angel disappeared.
When she said, okay, fine, let me just uncover a little bit of my clothes here, the angel disappeared at that point.
It disappeared.
Yeah. He said, look, the angel was still coming. He says, is he still there? It's not there. No.
Nobody could see the angel. But how did you know the angel disappeared? We couldn't see the angel.
No. The Prophet said he's no longer there. The Prophet is seeing the angel. The angel can be visible in his original form, or he can be invisible. He can choose.
No, there's no way to verify this. It's just speculation.
Stephen, look. We are trying to understand the phenomena. Let me help you with it first, which is called a psychological understanding of the reality. Then we'll talk about the scientific understanding of the reality, historical understanding of the reality, and then we merge all of them and say, where lies the truth? I'm doing a psychological analysis now. Firstly, the way our historical report says, she did this, and the angel disappeared. The Prophet said, and she is being more and more convinced that this is not some evil spirit, because evil spirits will remain.
You said a historical report said this.
Our historical reports.
What historical reports?
No, our biographical reports.
Who was there to witness this?
Look. You're bringing in other things where then I have to address that and address. Let's stick to one
He's
thing.
there with his wife. Him and his wife. He had an experience.
Listen.
And
Firstly, do you accept the possibility that all these events could be narrated by the Prophet and then recorded by his companions for the posterity? Is there a possibility?
Yes.
Good. So we're saying just take that for now. By actual historical scrutiny of whether these records existed or not.
It's recorded after the events.
No, look.
Years after the events.
I am saying for now, to make things simpler, to deal one account at a time, let's not question the historicity of these reports, because that will then derail our conversation to historical investigation.
That's what I'm here for, mate.
No. You can't answer every single tangent. You have to focus on one, and anything questions like this we can deal as it's appropriate. Right? Good, Stephen.
As you say more things, I get more questions.
No, but hold on to these questions. Remind ourselves, it's an important question. So she took her to Waraqa bin Nawfal. Waraqa bin Nawfal was a Christian, okay? And he was blind, as far as I recall. But doesn't matter. When he heard the story, he worked out, he said, I know this sounds like a namus, the spirit, like they believe in spirits, Holy Spirit, for example, that brings in revelation, and it says this, I wish I can live to see you today when you become prophets and when you convey the message and so on. So he didn't live that long, okay? So that was the whole historical encounter. That is the first encounter of the Prophet ﷺ to receive revelation. Then over the period of 23 years, the same angel visited him again and again, and every year he came in the month of Ramadan to revise how much of the Qur'an has been learnt and so on, right?
But you see the question I'm asking though?
No, wait, Stephen, we will address all of that. This is what the claim is, it's Jibreel. Now, you and I don't have access to the Jibreel now, we can't see him, we can't verify him. You are distant from the event. So you need to have a tool which is testable to say whether it's Jibreel or not. If you can give me that tool, I will apply it and tell you. In the absence of that, let's deal with the Prophet's, his motives. Is he faking to be a prophet, or is he sincerely? You said sincerely. But I want to, just for the sake of comprehensiveness on this matter, there are many people who think he's an imposter. If he was an imposter, people must have a motive. Why are they pretending to be a prophet? Either is a motive of own selfish motive to be rich, to be wealthy, to be a leader, to be a king, to be the one who has all the benefits and so on. Many things, material gain gain and desires. It could be a motive. But guess what? Every single one of these can be discounted. Look, they even once said, the polytheist of Mecca, when he started calling people to Islam and to reject the idols, they said, look, what are you after? Do you want money? We will make you the richest person of us. Wait, Stephen.
You're going on a bit. Let me remember what it is. He could have maybe didn't want money, he didn't want material things and things like that. He was a great guy, yeah? He had an experience.
What was his motive?
He didn't have any motive. He was actually believed in what he was
That's
doing.
your position.
He believed that he was a prophet.
Good.
From what
I understand that, but I'm not dealing with the opposition yet. I'm simply for the benefit for everyone to know that those people who think he's not sincere, and then the motives that he wants to be rich and wealthy and famous and womanizer, whatever. They even asked once, do you want money? We'll make you the richest. Do you want to be our leader? We'll make you the king. Do you want women? Just name them. You can have all of them. He declined all of them. That means...
Well, he had 11 wives.
No. This is something later on that people came to him, offered them to become his wife, widows, with orphans, old women who are divorced or widowed, and they're saying, and they have no one to look after.
Well, most cult leaders nowadays have a lot of wives, no?
You're mixing up. We'll talk about his multiple marriages, and you will agree with me that these were not marriages of convenience. These were marriage to make sure that people are looked after, people are brought together as communities, and so on and so forth. Because his first wife, he married her, who was 15 years older than him, and they lived the whole life in this marriage, monogamous marriage, until she passed away. Someone older than him, living all her and his life in marriage. This is a direct refutation of this accusation that he was a
What camera is that for?
a direct refutation of people who think he's someone who's interested in children. I'm not going to even use this word. Someone, sexually interested in children. You can clearly see that it doesn't follow. Even in any works of psychology, psychiatrists, if you go there, they will tell you that is not a sign of those kind of individuals who are lusting and always interested in sexual relationship with the children. The Prophet's life.
Well, he did have sex with a 9-year-old, isn't it?
I am talking about a trait of people who are only interested in sexually in children, prepubescent children. There are a group of people called with a P word. I don't want to use this word. There's no point. I'm saying that. His life refutes this kind of belief. Okay, so it was not a material gain that he wanted to be nothing. Maybe some kind of thing. Oh, he wanted to unite the Arabs. That's why. None of your concern, by the way. It's for those people. I'll make it short, and I'll come to yours. And he was saying, Allah has chosen Maryam above all the women of the world. What would the Arabs say? How are you uniting the Arabs? You're calling a Jewish woman the best woman of the world. That's not showing how he's trying to unite, it will disunite it. So it wasn't trying to unite the Arabs for some kind of unity he's claiming to be a prophet. So I will leave there for now. I've given you.
I'll ask you one question before you talk about it. Yeah? Have you got any doubts at all in what you're saying is true?
No.
None?
None.
Don't you think that's a bit kind of like
no.
worrying? Because then you close.
Do you doubt you exist?
Do I doubt I exist? Or they say I think therefore I am.
No. Do you doubt?
I don't doubt I exist.
Not even a little bit?
Oh, I exist. I'm here now.
Not even a little bit?
I'm here now.
Good.
They say I could be a
so now, as you realize, there are certain things we can be pretty much confident in what we believe.
Exactly, yeah.
Your existence, you're pretty much 100% convinced with no room for any doubt.
Yeah.
Likewise, Islam has given us this avenue in which our conviction can be so firmly grounded. So we talked about how Prophet can not be an imposter or fake individual because there's no motive that you can describe. Maybe, as you said, possibility, he can be sincerely deceived in thinking that there is a creator of the universe who has sent an angel who spoke to him and so on and so forth, right? Now, let's address that.
Well, can I tell you the doubts that I have?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, apparently, you believe in the Big Bang and stuff like that, yeah?
No, Big Bang is just a model of a universe.
Well, the time scales. God created the universe about 13.8 billion years ago, yeah? And then 9
Our universe that we know of, according to scientific understanding, is 16.8 or 13 point something 8 billion years. Yes, correct. Yeah, around that.
9 billion years later, he creates the Earth. Yeah? So the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. Yeah? And then he waited another 4.5 billion years to about 200,000 years ago to create human beings.
Okay.
Yeah. He maybe gave 1/8 the ability to talk and communicate, and have consciousness and learn language and stuff like that. And then he waited another 190,000 years, and then 1,400 years ago, he gave his message to mankind, to a man who can't read and write in a cave. He didn't even know who it was that gave the message. He had to ask a Christian.
No, he knew.
He just said the Christian miracle said
No. The Christian confirmed that don't worry, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
We already know how our Creator sends revelation to individual through this kind of media.
But 1,400 years ago, he gave it to one man in a cave. Yeah? One man.
Yeah.
And his job is to go and teach it to the whole of the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sounds rational to you. That sounds.
Yeah, I'll tell you why it sounds rational. There's various ways of our Creator can communicate to individuals. He can communicate to you directly.
To one man.
No. I'm just giving you the mechanism.
This is the age of communication. You can talk to anybody on all these cameras.
Stephen.
You can talk to anybody. Everybody can hear
The Creator of the heavens and the earth can communicate to you. Are you listening?
Yes.
The Creator of the heavens and the earth can communicate to every individual directly. That's one way of doing it. He can communicate to people behind the veil without a direct intervention. He can communicate to people in their dreams. He can inspire them otherwise. He can talk to them directly. The various forms the Creator can communicate, because we believe we are communicating, we are able to, understand and make sense of what we say. So our Creator, to Him belongs the highest description. It is not reason. It is not unreasonable in any way, shape, or form to think our Creator can communicate. Yeah, not unreasonable. So the medium of communication. Why were we created is the first question we need to ask. Did our Creator create us for a purpose? And what is the purpose? Because that then determines in what form He's going to communicate to us. Does He want for us all to be forced to believe in Him? Or does He want us to appreciate with our particular makeup of human reasoning, the intellect?
Does He want us all to be convinced? 100%.
Wait. Stephen, let's try to understand something. Does our Creator want us to be forced to know that He exists and believe in Him? Because would that make sense? Imagine now, I put a gun on your head and say, believe that I'm your master. There is no choice involved because you're going to die, right? Do you have a choice? I say, look, you have a choice. There is no choice.
That's exactly what God does to us. Believe I'm your God, or I'm going to burn you in hell.
No.
Christians say that. Muslims say
the
that.
Creator has said, look, I am the owner of you. I made you, I created you, I gave you life. But I want you to do these things because you are mine. You're my creation. Whether you like it or not. I mean, if you don't want, for example, I can say, for example, you don't believe in gods, okay, stop breathing the air of God. Stop drinking the water of God. Drink your own water, make your own water, make your own air. But you won't be able to, because all that's provided is what we're saying is Creator. So because we are already dependent on the Creator, our role is only to say, okay, fine, this is the reason, let me try to fulfill the reason or not.
You're a Muslim, yeah?
Yes.
Right now in Israel, they're bombing Palestine, yeah? They're equally convinced that land is theirs by God, 100% that God gave them that land. The Palestinians 100% that God gave them this land, How are you you have to have some kind of room for kind of doubt, Just say maybe that God didn't give us this land. Maybe we can share it, Maybe we can come together as human beings.
What you're describing,
not kill each other over this.
What you're describing is when there's a conflict of ideas, it means that thing that the idea about is non-existent. It doesn't follow logically. Look, let's say we are disputing. Are we in London or are we in Melbourne? Are we in Dhaka? Are we in Nepal? Imagine we're all disputing. Does it mean we're not? No.
That shows you get it.
No.
Maybe that thing that we're all disputing.
No, listen. Does that mean we are not in London?
We're in London now, yes.
Good. So our dispute where we are is irrelevant to the fact of a reality, is where we are. People can have mistaken understanding of where we are. Some people will say, I'm in New York. But that will be mistaken understanding. What we say is, as you said earlier, which is not correct, God did not just simply give a revelation to this one man in a cave, and that's the earliest form of communication from God. No, he was the last of all the messengers. There were hundreds and thousands of prophets and messengers that were sent before him to all nations and communities, telling them what is required of them. The same message.
What message was given to the Mayans and the Aztecs, who at the same time was cutting out people's hearts?
What we are saying is,
and the North American Indians.
Look. If you were to holistically study the world religion, there are certain things that will be the common factor that out of all of it. They believe in something supernatural. Something almighty has the power to answer your prayers. Yep. They believe in someone who gave life, originated this universe. These things are the common denominator of all religions.
No, Buddhists don't believe in that. Scientologists don't believe in that.
Scientology, you're talking about modern day belief. Buddhism originally was from Hinduism, in which there are creators. What they didn't like in Hinduism is what they then came away from it, and they formed this belief. Sikhism, likewise, they didn't like the Hindus, they didn't like the Muslims when they were ruling India and so on and so forth, make their own religion. We need to differentiate between what people claim to be the original religions, which people believe, and which are reactionary religion. Scientism is a reactionary religion.
Well, the original religion, for instance, ancient Egyptian religions went for about 5,000 years.
Yeah. What did they believe? You can find the remnants of the belief. They believed in
the sun gods, and the different.
Why do they believe in God in the first place? You see, the idea of a God, that someone who's powerful than you, who gives lives, takes away life, who does the judgment, who has a measurement in the scale, your deeds. The well-known belief in the Egyptians.
We believed in stuff that we didn't understand.
Right. No. What I'm saying is, these belief systems were there. So a historian of a religious historian will say, look, it seems like ultimately this was so proliferant. This proliferation of belief system with a shared belief tells you with a confirmation that yes, people had belief system. Either they made it by their own thinking, or it was already given to them. So we believe as Muslims, prophets and messengers were sent, warners were sent. People later on, they then forgot this message or distorted this message. A community may then be given another prophet to bring back.
You said thousands of prophets were sent, yeah?
Yes, to all nations.
What are these thousands of prophets that were sent? Because all you mentioned is the prophets like Moses and ancient Christian or Jewish prophets. Yeah. You don't mention any prophets that were in Australia, the Aborigines. What prophets said to the Aborigines? What said to the
Quran answers your question. It tells you that these are the prophets Quran mentions. It says some prophets I have not mentioned, others I have not mentioned. Okay, some prophets I have favored, spoken to them directly, given them proofs and miracles. Others not. So God is not describing the history of humanity and every single prophet. He's giving you the Quran as a final guidance in which it tells you, I have sent prophets. God says clearly like this. He does not. No. He does not. Look, it is historically proven that people believed in this kind of many things about the world.
Animistic beliefs, like believed in the wind god and the sun god and the
that's the distortion of the truth.
And the river gods.
That's the distortion of the truth. To give you an example of
the earliest religions, they kind of evolved to the more monotheistic religions that we have now.
Initially it was monotheism, and then they became polytheistic belief system. Okay, the idea once people had a few hundred years ago that initially everyone was polytheistic in nature, and as people more and more realized these are the forces of nature, and then they became a bit more and more like monotheistic. Right? False historically. Monotheism was first, and then from out of it, people's distortion, satanic influence, and various others made people believe associating partners with God polytheistic. Christianity is a
claims there's satanic influence. I mean, I personally believe that people had, even in the world, we didn't understand a lot of things like nature and a hurricane comes, an earthquake shakes. There's no way of comprehending what's going on, so you kind of make up a kind of like, we need to understand. It's very, very uncomfortable to not understand things. So to understand things will give you a comfort. Especially if you've got a king who's ruling a nation and you're having a famine and he can't control it because he's not in control of nature. So you make up a king which is bigger than him, a higher power that controls everything.
The difference between what's been transmitted like this, as you call a distortion of the truth, and when the prophets were there at that time, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he did many miraculous things, it wasn't evident against the people that this man is not just an ordinary man.
Miraculous things did he do?
Split the moon.
He split the moon?
Yeah,
I heard of that, So
the people who witnessed that...
There should be evidence of the moon.
No, not necessarily.
No?
Are you saying God is incapable of putting it back together without any remaining marks?
I'm saying that other countries around the world, like the Chinese...
Are you saying God is incapable of making it only a local event so other people... Okay. How much time has passed since we were discussing? Roughly? Half an hour? Half an hour. How many times did you see the moon? What happened to it in that discussion?
I haven't seen the moon.
You haven't seen it. Anyone else? Right. You can't expect.
Never passed the moon. Well, it's nighttime now.
No.
And they would have seen it
Still. Even if we had the discussion at night time, the probability that you'd be looking at the moon, always the moon, is very less. People don't actively look at the moon. Is it being split or not? Right? So what? No. What we're saying is, who says it's not a local event? God is only providing a miracle. Look, what happened is, I am saying at that time, the people who witnessed it, what was their response?
You're an intelligent person. You know it didn't happen. You must know it didn't happen. Come on.
Look.
Claim,
Your mother did not give birth because I haven't seen it. To you. You were never born, Stephen.
Here, you can see me.
No, Stephen, I've never seen you being born, so you were not born. You were just like that. You see that? We can't do this kind of, verification purposes. I wasn't there.
Extraordinary.
You wasn't there.
Quite extraordinary evidence.
And that's why the people at that time, to them, was an extraordinary evidence because they could see it by themselves. That's why, if you ask me for proof for the Quran's divine origin, I'm going to give you moon splitting because you and I cannot verify it.
All right, let's say.
But what I would give rather, Stephen, something that we can test. So that's why, as Muslims, when they give you testable things, they will give you something that you can look at yourself and verify it. That's why I mentioned about falsification test.
Can I ask you about the moon splitting? Because there's no extra.
You can't prove or disprove it.
Quranic evidence of the moon splitting.
Doesn't have to.
Yeah. One man went to a cave. Spoke to the angel.
Doesn't have to.
The angel said
Stephen,
someone wrote it down.
You don't need any extra Quranic evidence. This
why should I believe it? There's no evidence.
You don't have to. Right. This evidence was evidence for the people at that time.
And you don't have to either.
Look. This is not an evidence to you. It was evidence to the people at that time. It was a hujjah, we say, evidence against them. But now, when the Quran provides falsification test, I gave you one. A book from God should be free from mistakes and contradictions.
I'll give you another mistake.
What mistake did you give me? Firstly? You said another. What was the first one?
No, just the fact that he went in there and did this. And he didn't know who it was.
That's not a mistake about the Quran, in any way, shape or form.
I do wonder, but God says that all living things are made from water.
Yeah.
So all living things are made from water. We contain water, but we are carbon-based. And another thing is that you have the jinns. Jinns are made from fire.
Yes.
They're not made from water.
They're not made from water, correct?
Yeah, so how can all living things be made from water if jinns are made
because
from fire?
Because the Quran already looked. The Quranic statement is two types. One is general and one is specific. The Quran highlights the specific creation of the jinns, the angels, and then it tells you specifically about human being, how they're created, and especially general forms. Every living thing is from water, and the specifics say the angels are made from what? Some kind of light. The jinns are made from smokeless fire. So these specifics are already covered.
Have you got any evidence of a jinn that's made from fire, a creature made from fire So it contradicts the fact that all living things are made from water. Jinns are living, yeah?
I'm just telling you, the Qur'an gave a general statement and a specific statement. Anything that is exception to the general statement, Qur'an covered that by saying, yes, the angels were created from there. The angels are not created from water. And the Qur'an talks about it, how they're created.
The angels are living.
They're living.
They're living.
Yes.
So they're not. So it's a fact.
Do you understand between?
Where he says that all living things are made from water.
These are the
Angels
exceptions.
living, but they're not. Oh, it's an exception now.
I'm telling you, that's exactly saying the general.
There's exceptions to this falsification test.
But it's not about a falsification exception. The Quran tells you what the exceptions are. If the Quran didn't tell what the exceptions are, and it left telling you what the angels are not created from, then you'd have to assume, without any evidence, they're created from water. But if you have a text which says they're created from fire, and the Quran tells it's fire, then these are the exceptions the Quran provides.
It seems to me like you're making it up as you go.
I'm not making it up.
I'm just not convinced. And you can't expect me to
Look, I'm not here to convince you. Stephen, I'm not here to convince you. But I'm going to make a rational case for our belief that what I say is sound and what I say is something that is sensible and reasonable. So when the Quran talks about every living thing, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ, this refers to the all general things. But when the Quran says we created وَخَلَقَ الْجَانَّ مِن مَارِجٍ مِّن نَارٍ, gives you the exception. The Quran gives you the exception. If the Quran,
I didn't know what you just said there. So.
And we created the jinns from a smokeless fire, right? مِن مَارِجٍ مِّن نَارٍ. So exceptions are provided. So these things in any way does not anyway falsify the Quran being from God or not, because the Quran is quite consistent in what it's saying. And we know every living thing is made from water.
Have you ever seen a jinn?
Not me personally.
Not you personally?
No.
Has anybody ever seen a jinn?
Yes.
Yeah? Has anyone ever recorded a jinn on
I don't know. I don't know.
Because, like, everyone's got
Are you now trying to use, this is where the problem of approach is. Are you now going to use a faulty tool to ascertain the truthfulness or the existence of something, a faulty tool? Like if I want to know how my hair looks like at the back, I can't see it, right? I say, you know what? Look at the ground. I can't see how my hair looks like. Is that tool, the solid ground, a right tool to see my back? It's not. You're using, or you are alluding to, or implying to use the scientific methodology of empiricism to understand the metaphysical realm in which there are things beyond the physical world.
All right, what do you mean by metaphysical?
Precisely, not physical.
So it's like supernatural.
Supernatural. So you can't use a tool to say like, I'm going to use science to say, you know what? This is the most beautiful woman in London. And I'm going to use a scientific tool. Science is not the right tool for that.
Well, you could just say anything. You could say this is magic. Right? If it doesn't comport to magic.
I would like you, Stephen.
I say I have an invisible dragon, made of fire, at home, or behind.
Stephen.
And I say you can't use your eyes or size.
What I'm asking you, Stephen, give me the tool. If I check that it's appropriate, then use it to verify or reject the jinns using that. Give me a tool which is appropriate for verification of the jinns. Go on.
There's no tool you can use to verify something.
Then how can you then bring it to test to prove the existence or non-existence of the jinn?
If you haven't got a tool to verify it, you can't see.
No, not me.
Right? You can't just believe that it exists.
You are trying to understand the existence of the jinn.
Yes.
But what you need to do, my friend Stephen, use the right tool. Tell me which tool do you have, and I will tell you whether it's right or not.
Well, it's usually rationality, rational thinking, rational thoughts,
Rational thinking does in no way disprove the existence of jinns.
Well, say the stories. The story says that the jinns, the shooting stars are there to shoot stars at jinns or something, whatever. That's in the story, isn't it?
Not shooting stars, no. God is using the planetary bodies up there and using shihabun thaqib, flaming, fierceful flames from there to pelt away Satan.
To drive away these creatures that are made of fire. You're going to use this star stars or flames.
Not stars, something from the star.
Something from the stars.
Yeah.
Right, the star,
What's so unscientific or irrational about it?
it doesn't sound irrational to you.
Tell me how. No, I want to know how to you. Look, I am made of. Look.
That sounds rational to you.
No, wait. I'm made of what? Flesh.
Yes.
So if I pick up a flesh and I throw at you, would you feel it?
Yes, I would. Yes.
Right. So if I have something made of fire and use fire to throw on them, can they feel it? Sorry?
I don't know. Yeah, probably can. They can.
Probably can. Good.
Yeah.
That's being rational.
That's if they exist.
So no.
You see a
You are
sky,
Stephen. Can I humbly request one thing? No. I know you know. Look. I know you're not disrespecting, but what I'm saying is we should not conflating between two things simultaneously. They cannot exist, and then saying how do they exist? You are asking two questions simultaneously. Oh, does God exist? If He exists, then what? If you're dealing with the assumption God exists, then I cannot expect this to happen. That's one thing. But you cannot then say this cannot happen because God doesn't exist. You should have brought the first question altogether. That's why we have to deal with one thing at a time. So when you said about, let's go back to the question, prophet sincerity, if he was sincerely believing he's a prophet and he brought the Qur'an, historically we know, this is what we know. You can disregard, you can not accept that if you want. His community knew he brought up someone who didn't go to a school to be learned in poetry, in literature, and so on and so forth. He was like an ordinary unlettered person, right? And this was quite prominent in Arabia. Not everyone was literate. There were many people who were literate, but not everyone was literate. They knew he was one of them. He brings the Qur'an to them, and he says this is from God. He sincerely believes in your understanding, right? What do we expect from someone who sincerely believing is a prophet and he produces something? What kind of expectation do we have of that product? Is that product going to say something which is like fantastic, absolutely amazing, or is it going to be just like ordinary? Is it going to say, for example, let me give you an example.
Amazing if he had wrote himself.
No. Let me give you an example.
No,
it is amazing. Look, do you know why it's amazing? Someone who cannot read and write brings a literature which no one can imitate. They say this is the most eloquent in our Arabic language, and yet he doesn't know how to read and write.
He didn't write.
That is amazing.
Other people wrote it.
Because look, if he wrote it, they say, you know how to read and how to write. You composed it. But and they know he doesn't. Imagine someone who's not going to a medical school, never learned about anatomy and physiology, never learned about pharmacology, about drugs, how the drugs operate, never learned anything about physiology, how the body functions and work, different things. And then he says, well, you know what? I can perform heart bypass without anesthetics, and not even a blood loss will be done while he's awake. And he demonstrates that he does that. Or, I'm giving a hypothetical example. If he did that, it will be an amazing thing to who? The medical profession. This guy doesn't have any knowledge of anatomy and physiology, pharmacology, anything, and he produces some kind of surgery like this. Amazing. How does he do that? It will be amazing. That's precisely what the Prophet brought as the Qur'an. He doesn't know how to read and write. He doesn't know the Bible, the scripture. The Arabic Bible came as a Bible about, how many years? 100 years later.
Talk about the germ theory of disease, or did they talk about viruses?
No.
Talk about anything like that?
No. We need to take what is testable, not what is not testable. If it doesn't say about germ theory, you can't say, let's test that, because it's not verifiable. You need to deal with this testable. So when the Qur'an brought and gave you information about the deepest secrets of someone's heart, even the outcome of their thinking, you will say, how is that possible? Imagine now, it tells you.
Tell me something that the Quran says
I will tell you.
couldn't have known.
The Quran says to the people, فَتَمَنَّوْا الْمَوْتِ. Seek for death if you're true to the Jewish people at that time. But you will never seek for God. Abadan, you will never seek for death. Look at the affirmation and assertion with this confidence. There were many Jewish people there. When they heard this, all all the Quran is saying, just seek for death, like God, make me die. Of course, they have a belief in God. Guess what? Historically speaking, not a single Jew during that pronouncement of revelation said, God, make me dead. How did the Quran know with this level of certainty, with this affirmation? One example, another example. No, hang on. Another example.
Look at
How did it know?
Look at the Muslim population. We got 1.2 billion Muslims in the world, yeah? Whatever. You got like 2/3 of the world population are Christians. You got Jews, you got all these different religions. 1400 years later, people still ain't convinced. If it was God all powerful, he could have got everyone convinced.
That's a different argument.
At one point.
During the time of the revelation to the Prophet, his own uncle did not believe in him. Belief is not automatically linked with proof and evidence, and you believe in it. I'll give you an example.
You could have done a better way.
No, my friend. No. God doesn't force people to believe.
No.
He gives them.
Getting the information across.
Wait.
Correctly.
Have you ever seen people smoking?
Yes.
Have you seen a cigarette pack?
Yeah.
What does it say on the pack?
Smoking kills.
Smoking kills.
Yes.
Smoking kills, and people still smoke.
Because they're addicted to it.
Whatever reason. The information is understood, the smoking kills.
Yeah.
Where it's coming from, it's understood. From health authority, from the government, health authority. The consequence is known, it's going to kill, lung cancer and so on. But guess what? Even with the clear, unambiguous proof and evidence, people still continue to smoke. Right. So
people are addicted to their previous beliefs.
What I'm saying is,
Christianity,
in answering to your question,
to Judaism,
Stephen, I'm answering your question. Why is it that all these years, hundreds of years, people are still not convinced?
Because they're addicted to their beliefs.
It's because of, even though the evidence is there, the Quran says, look, if there were stairs ascending to heaven, if there are mountains of gold, there will be people who would not believe. Because belief in the heart is not just the evidence. There's something else, where it's the acceptance of evidence. People may not accept the evidence for various reasons. You gave one example of our addiction. There could be various reasons. So I am saying, when the Prophet brought the Quran, and the Quran says to Jewish people, you would not long for death, and they didn't, that was a chance to destroy the Quran's veracity, that the Quran is from God. Somebody says, God, please, Stephen, listen. If a Jewish person at that time says, God, make me dead, the Quran will be falsified. Quran says in one of the chapters of the Quran that someone called a nickname Abu Lahab will go to hellfire, meaning he will die as a disbeliever. When this chapter was revealed, this individual lived for 10 more years. He had 10 years of opportunity to disprove the Quran and Islam just like that. All he had to do is to come up in public and say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Wait.
Right now.
Wait, my friend. Stephen.
Can I tell you what it is?
Stephen, I am addressing your point. I will.
I can just tell you what.
I will take.
I can tell you right now.
Good. 1 second. Let me wrap this up then. I am saying what the Prophet brought.
It sounds like you're following the script.
No. I am giving you an example to answer your question that he may be sincerely deluded. I am saying a sincerely deluded person cannot bring a book in which it talks about people's outcome of their thought processes. Like it says, you will never become Muslim. 10 years this man could have, out of hypocrisy, outward hypocrisy, inward disbelief, he could just say, I'm a Muslim. If he did that, you know what would have happened? Islam would have been crumbled. Because the Quran says he's going to go to hell, he says, I'm a Muslim.
That's one man.
Wait.
No one will witness that.
No. I'm saying during that time, I'm giving you historical information about the Quran. That information would have falsified Islam, falsified Quran. So this kind of particular confidence in asserting something cannot come from someone who is just simply deluded with belief, because that could have been easily disproven. When the Quran says, oh, the Romans have been defeated, but they will regain victory again, likewise, another example. What is it that you said that you can believe right now?
I can tell you what we believe. Yeah?
Go ahead.
Like it's
Make sure it's the best example.
Alright, so something that he's already done before. You know he's done it already, so you know he can do it, yeah? So it's 8:15 now. So he said at 8:30 p.m. British time, I'm gonna split the moon in half. You've got cameras here, you've got all these.
Who's going to split the moon in half?
Allah is gonna split the moon in half to prove that he exists.
Where's the prophet? Where's the prophet?
The prophet's there, isn't he?
Miracles done by the prophets. Where's the prophet?
Alright, then he's gonna make you a prophet.
No, I'm not a prophet.
He's gonna make you a
Sorry, no. Don't bring your hypotheticals.
If this happened at 8:30
Wait.
on Sky News, BBC News,
Look,
the moon's split in half.
your approach is faulty. I'll tell you why.
This is real.
I'll tell you why it's faulty. If you want something, a verification or test for something, you need to have the right methodology, right tools. Then he will give you the right results. Miracles were given to the prophets and messengers. There is no prophet and messenger to perform that miracle, so you can't use that argument.
But the thing is, you got space telescopes, you got the Keck telescope.
What?
All it takes is to zoom onto the moon.
And
8:30 comes along, you see the moon's split.
And who's going to do that?
Yeah?
Who's going to do that?
Allah's going to do it. Allah's going to say that he did it.
No.
And then on Sky News, they're going to show it, then
Wait.
I'll give the broadcast to the whole world.
You missed the whole point.
Then we all know that Allah
You
is
missed
real.
the whole point.
Whether we believe in him or worship him,
Steve,
we know. Right.
let me give you something simpler. If you see someone in the sky, he says, I am God, and you hear the voice, would you believe in him?
No. I'm saying something.
Wait, no. Something that is physical. No, Stephen, listen. Someone who says, I am God, you hear the voice, and he says, look, you don't believe in me? Vanish from existence. Turn into a frog. Banana. Destroyed. You know no one can do that. He says, I am God. Would you believe? Maybe.
If the whole world can see the same thing. Yeah?
Wait. Forget the whole thing.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Would you believe?
Maybe I would. I mean, he's God, yeah.
How do you know you're not being in an illusion?
Because me that sees it,
Yeah.
then it could be a personal delusion.
How do you know mass hysteria and mass illusion?
All on Sky News, everyone's putting their cameras on it, everyone's watching it,
Yeah.
everyone's seeing the whole thing happening. Play that for all the world. Yeah?
Have you not heard of Fatima, where people can see Fatima in Europe somewhere? She appears in the sky, and then Virgin Mary crying and so on. Have you not heard mass historic hysteria?
My mother's in a pilgrimage at Lord's at the moment because she's a Catholic.
Yeah. Did they not witness all of those
And
things?
they all said they witnessed it. Yeah, they're
Right.
really convinced
So
that
is it not possible for mass hysteria, mass delusion?
it could have been, yes.
Yeah. So basically, if you were there and you witnessed that, you would say it's just an illusion.
Give us something, man.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
I will give you something that is something that you will have no wiggle room.
Because
All that you're asking for.
You're convinced, yeah?
Look,
You're
look,
convinced.
look.
Although you don't know all knowledge. So you can believe something 100%.
Stephen.
But you can't know something 100%.
I'm saying, Stephen, anything that you ask, what's stopping you saying, I am being deluded? There's kind of a nerve gas floating around, psychedelics, narcoleptics. These are making me think about God is there. Look, stairs going up to heaven. I am having a vision of, because it's like all this nerve gas into me. You'll make all these excuses.
I could be wrong, okay?
And so could the others.
Could you be wrong? Can you be wrong?
For what?
About your belief in God?
I told you the reason why I cannot be wrong.
You cannot be wrong.
Because I have a firm grounding in my belief.
What's the point in convincing, trying to convince people, yeah, who are also equally convinced in their beliefs?
Fine, but I can tell you why there's a room for. Look, the reason why I'm convinced is not because I blindly believe. That's the difference. Majority of the people on earth, they believe by blind faith. You have seen us speaking to the Christians, demonstrating again and again how Trinity is incoherent, illogical, irrational. But they still believe in it.
To them it's logical and...
No, it's not. It's not. They say it's beyond logic. It's paralogic. It's a mystery.
Metaphysics, like you said.
No.
Oh, that's metaphysical. That's
What they do,
natural.
Stephen, what they do is they throw logic out of the window to get out of this problem.
You're throwing logic out the window.
When did did I throw logic out of the window?
To explain the jinns.
What?
The angel.
Wait. Is the angel of this world
Angel of this
physical world? It's a spiritual, metaphysical world.
what I'm saying, it's a metaphysical world.
So how is believing the metaphysics illogical? How?
You asked that.
In fact, it's illogical to somehow say there's no paranormal activities. It's illogical to say there's no metaphysical reality. What logical grounds do you have to say that they don't exist?
You said that to a Christian.
No. I'm asking you as an atheist, an agnostic, as a scientist, as a philosopher, right? You may be neither of them, but as a human mind with intellectual query and inquisitiveness, how would you know that certain things cannot exist beyond our physical thing? For example,
I go back to the originals. I said it all started off with one man.
No, it didn't. Islam started hundreds and thousands of years before him. Islam started with the first man, Adam, and it finished in the form of finality of revelation with the last messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, look. Now I'm going to test you about something, if I may. Do you know gravity exists?
Yes.
Okay. Using your senses. Well, patience. What are our senses?
Our senses.
Yeah. Because we do experiments using our senses.
Yeah.
Smell,
Yeah.
touch, hearing, seeing. What else? Taste. Good. Out of these 5 senses, show me the bottle again. Okay, now, which of these senses are you using to say, I have seen gravity?
Well, you're not using any of the senses today.
No. When we devise experiments, we have to use our senses to see what's happening.
Let's say optical, we can see it. Yeah? We can see
Wait. All I've seen is a bottle. I've not seen gravity.
See a drop.
No.
You measure the drop.
Wait, Stephen. Let me go through. How does it taste like? You don't know.
That's a category.
Wait, no. When we are using a physical experiment of a physical thing, you think gravity is physical? Good. So let me see which of the 5 senses we can actually use to see gravity. Or no gravity, rather. Not see, no. Can I taste it? No. Can I smell it? No. Can I feel it by touch? No. Can I see it? No. What else was it there? Anyway, fine. Hear it. Can I hear it? No. So, what? Wait. Stephen.
You've been saying it's the God of gravity.
No. Stephen, look. I have spoken to many atheists and agnostics. When it comes to gravity, the whole world opened up to them in critical thinking because they have not thought about this before. Gravity, what color is it? I can't see it. What kind of things does it emit? Sounds. It doesn't. So that means, look, Stephen, look. You are not appreciating the gravity of this example of gravity. It's really... It is. Thank you. What we see instead is not gravity. We see a bottle being pulled by something that we don't see, taste, hear, touch, smell, and so on. So this is something that is unobservable. We only saw the effect of the gravity in which the cause gravity exerted an effect on the bottle and it pulling it.
Yeah.
That force, gravity is a force.
Yeah, it's a force.
Wait.
So Newton's came from
Please, Stephen. The force is something that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
We observe the effect of that force.
When you make a mathematical model to try to explain,
Wait.
If
scientists are trying...
predictions of gravity waves, when it sees 2 heavy stars rotating around,
Do you know light?
they detect
Do you know...
waves, they predict they're going to get waves,
Wait.
and they build this great big machine, that can detect the waves from these 2 heavy stars. It's what giving up a lot of gravity waves.
Do you know light is made of photons?
Yes.
People are hypothesizing that gravity is made of gravitons. That's what the physical explanation would be. We haven't observed graviton, we haven't seen it. Until then, we are happy in knowing from the effect that gravity
They've
produces.
observed gravity waves, though. You know, this is something that's pretty recent. They make a hypothesis.
No. They have observed the effects the gravity has, not the cause itself.
This is the thing. The thing is, we don't understand. Scientists don't understand everything about the universe.
From what we understand, we only observe the effect of gravity, but that doesn't stop us from accepting gravity existing. Right. If you are happy with understanding the existence of something like gravity by observing its effect, then be generous to say, I don't necessarily need to see, hear, taste, smell, or touch God, if I can apply these senses, to know God exists. All is sufficient. Likewise, is the effect that God, our cause of everything, produces.
But you're just putting God into the whole of our
God is the cause of everything.
that we don't understand. That's the kind of
No. Gravity of gaps.
We would understand everything.
No. It's not gravity. It's the invisible green monkey that was pulling your bottle.
I would admit that I don't understand everything about gravity.
Stephen, you know what pulled your bottle? It's an invisible green monkey.
Was it my invisible dragon that's made of fire?
No. That
You
bottle.
could say you can make any
Wait.
Show me some evidence to support it.
Stephen, I am saying it was an invisible green monkey that pulled your bottle.
Yeah, give me the evidence. Give me the evidence.
It's invisible. How can I give you evidence? It's invisible. You can't see it.
It's my invisible dragon.
So do you believe in so do you believe in my invisible green monkey?
Do you believe my invisible dragon? You know? No, you don't. You need to have.
Wait.
Support your.
Because something is pulling it, I am giving you a hypothetical reason for that phenomena. I am saying it's a green invisible monkey. You have no reason to disprove it or disbelieve it.
This is all irrelevant.